Already a ghost of a ghost, huh? That's gonna kill me, isn't it? Okay, A, holy shit. Hey everybody, I'm Nick here and welcome back to Loop Hero. We are going back into it. Now, I'm thinking here, personally, that I personally am not terribly interested in playing this too much more. At least not for a little while. I think I've gotten my fill, and I should have ended last episode saying that, I think. And that's just because, like, overall, as much as I have enjoyed playing this game, it's, I don't know, it's not quite what I'm looking for anymore. That makes it sound worse than it actually is. Like, I'm enjoying it. Like, I'm enjoying it. Enjoying myself. But like, this is the problem. Like, this is the problem. Like, I feel like I figured out what I want out of a deck, and there's not much that makes me want to go differently. Like, we've accomplished the goal, and like, I'm gonna try playing as Rogue again, but like, as I said, it feels kind of dumb. Like, I feel silly. I guess I don't have anything temporal, do I? I didn't put the temporal card in, so. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna run suburbs down the left side. That's my plan. I don't think I want too many suburbs. We want that to spawn before we get there. Oh right, I should do this. Right. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, we've accomplished what we came to play this game for, and there is clearly some benefit from playing it more than we are currently playing it. But I'm not sure what it is right now. And also, why have we seen no suburbs yet? So, we've got two weapons, which I assume are just strictly better. We're gonna have boots, 3% evasion, 6% evasion, 3%, 3%. We're gonna go with the 6%. The max HP is technically pointless, because of our gear. I probably should be able to hold on to this Oblivion until the first boss shows up. But yeah, basically, the long story short is that as much as I enjoy this game, because I do enjoy this game quite a bit, it's like, I kind of reached the point where the game mechanics themselves had to kill me. So I'm like, not terribly keen on dealing with that right now. 9% evasion, 7% evasion, 10% counter, 6% evasion. I think I'm down for the 9% evasion. 27% critical damage, okay. 30%. I feel like 30% critical damage is better than 10% counter. I don't like. Know that. I guess I didn't check the other armor. I forget that these shoulder pads are technically armor, but. But yeah, as I said, playing this game has been very enjoyable, but like overall, it's one of those things that feels like it doesn't quite matter. Like, I don't know, as I said, the stuff that I've improved hasn't, like, done much of anything, it feels like. Afterwards, like, it's like, yeah, we've built up our base, but the point of building up the base is to beat the final boss because you get better stats. And, like, there doesn't really seem to be a very strong prestige system here. Alright. 12% evasion. You don't know that armor is better. I like that. That's strictly better than that. That's right, I forgot you can lock stuff, but you can also use this to reorder stuff so you can compare. This feels like it definitely should replace this. And this 13 to 20 is... yeah. Alright. I guess I didn't look at this yet. More 13. Right, that's the one that's strictly reversed. Alright, time we pass. Resurrection. So another resurrection sounds pretty darn good to me. We're working on filling out that radius right there. That's suburbs, not a village. God damn, dude. Alright, I need to build up some cards so that I can have some time before I hit the boss. The stuff that I do spawn, I'm going to be putting around here because that's the priority. Alright, 28 to 42, that is quite a bit of damage. That is better than our mace. 28 to 42 might be better than the evasion bonus. I think I'm willing to go that far to say it is. Alright, armor. Damage. Damage to all. Counter. So 15% counter is actually probably better. Shoes are better. And that's everything. Could make the argument that the suburbs are pretty darn important. I actually don't know how big the radius is gonna be. %10 chance to attack it another time is basically a 10% increase in damage. We are taking so much fracking damage. We've already used a lot of our potions. We're just drinking potions like mad. Alright. I'm hoping we can get away with it. With one more. And one more loop. I think we can. No, to be fair, I think we're going to die once. We're on the precipice, but I have to try and place one more. Damn it. That's okay. We're not placing any more suburbs. Already a ghost of a ghost, huh? That's gonna kill me, isn't it? Okay, holy shit. Increasing the quality of exchange for trophies, I like that. The beacon is interesting, but I don't think particularly amazing. So we're gonna wrap around. I guess we swing in this way. So there's legit. That's one of our resurrections. Holy butts, dude. I mean, I can resurrect. I don't think I'm winning this fight. No, yeah, we're gonna die in 3 hits. Fuck that. Alright, so yeah, I really don't like the rogue playstyle. I mean, I suppose the correct way is to not stack stuff around there, but then the boss just destroys us. Jesus, that was 15 minutes. Here's the problem. I'm at the point where I don't want to roll up another one. And I think I've started to be better about this. So, since that was only 15 minutes, I feel like we don't play another one, and instead I talk about the game. I do that thing where I talk about the game. Because I've built one of everything. There are apparently some tiles that I don't have yet. It's my understanding. And it's not even, like, a doubt. Like, obviously, I'm missing something. I haven't seen some enemies. We've gotten all of these, which is interesting. But, here's the rub of this game. First off, like most things, first I'm gonna say, what episode am I on? I very clearly enjoy this game. I've played it a lot. Perhaps not as much as some, but I have played it quite a bit, and I think there's a lot here, and I think there's a lot of good stuff here. I think that this whole building thing and going up a tech tree, fun, interesting, right? And also, like, being able to lay this out, also fun, interesting. I think there are a couple flaws with this building paradigm. Pretty much just that, like, there's one building that, like, needs to be next to another building. Like, it's very minimalistic in that regard. So it's just kind of like, okay, like, I don't know. As it's like a very unique extra thing that isn't quite necessary, I feel, in the grand scheme of things. Like, it strikes me as unnecessary to have buildings be required to be next to each other. I think the buildings that specifically have it in their description and in their benefits, like, that kind of makes sense. Like, I guess I can see something about this cemetery and crypt being next to each other. I don't think that's the one that bit me in the butt. But, like, as I said, it seems a little odd. Like, the fact that you have to build a farm adjacent to other stuff, super weird. But, like, we can build this out in the middle of nowhere. As I said, just kind of weird. I don't think it's, like, game-breaking. It's just one of those small pet peeves, right? Because that's pretty much what this is. This isn't going to be a list of, like, legitimate complaints that are clearly, like, a flawed game, right? Like, that's definitely not what's going on here. But, yeah, the whole, like... I guess we have only beaten them twice, but they were, like, 4-hour runs. It's that whole, like, this minigame is an interesting little addition. There's just some oddities to it. This is a game that has a lot of little things, and I like that because it lets you customize bits and pieces. But I also think that it's trying to be played for longer than it should be. Like, I don't know, there are some games that lend themselves really well to being played over and over and over again, and I think roguelikes are good at that. Roguelikes, the distinct point of roguelikes here being that you don't really see progress outside of the game, whereas roguelites, which this qualifies as a roguelite for me, that allow progress through the course of the game are not as good as that, at that. Because this is, how do we put this? This game does not take combat skill. There's a lot of skill in, like, the strategic decisions about where to place things, what abilities to take, which armor, like, to run with, when you can switch between different sets and stay alive. And for certain characters, that's obviously, that skill is beyond me currently. But like for the Necromancer, like, obviously, if you look at my Necromancer run and you look at my Rogue run, like, you can tell that there is a difference. And whether that is skill or whether that's the fact that the Necromancer is broken, that one's up to you. I realize my eye tracker's not on. Which honestly probably doesn't help because where I'm looking doesn't really matter here. But yeah, that skill difference in this game is it is clearly there, but it doesn't let you overcome things that you couldn't. Like, no amount of skill is going to let you dodge that one hit that's going to kill you so that you can land the killing blow in the reverse direction. Like, that's not how it works. Like, you can't go around a loop and take no damage because you're just so good at the game. Like, that's not a thing that happens. It just isn't. So it ends up being a little bit wonky in that regard. So there's like give and take here a little bit. And I think overall that is more of a frustration than it is like a benefit, because I think there is a benefit to it. I think this is a game that has in general a lower skill cap than other like twin stick shooters or platformers or hack and slashes, right? Because all the combat is being done for you. The decisions and the strategies, that's why you can pause the game and do stuff like in the middle of other things. So as I said, it's one of those things where because they aimed for a certain thing, another aspect suffered. There are trade-offs to everything, and that's okay. That doesn't make it a bad game or anything like that. It just makes it different. And it means that you have to acknowledge that it's different, which is kind of what I'm trying to do here. So, overall, I do think this game does take a decent bit of skill. I think that that skill is not in a place where I am as appreciative of it. And that is also because, if we look at all the tiles that are optional, and I guess really I should look at the deck. If we look at all these tiles, part of the reason why, me personally, I think I've gotten a little bit tired of the game, is if you look at these cards that I have selected in my deck, it becomes relatively obvious that the newer cards did not serve an interest to me. Just did not. Like, at all. Like, we started, like, the basic deck is what? This? No, because that's not there. This is the basic deck, and obviously, and you wouldn't have a golden card either. Like, this is the basic deck. How hard was it for me to switch that up? Like, one trade there, obviously got a golden card, removed that, added that, which I don't think anybody wouldn't add a village. They're incredibly important. Like, boom. And I guess I took out the meadow as well. Like, how hard is that? Right? Like I look at that and I go, man, that's interesting. Because I looked at some of these other cards and I evaluated them and went, they're interesting, but I don't think they're good. Like, it'd be interesting if we maybe had like stat differentials on these, and maybe that would influence my decision. But like, why would I choose a book over a spider? Or like, the Blood Grove is interesting. Like, don't get me wrong, it's interesting, but it's not worth a slot in my deck. Because you have that, like, honestly, Suburbs isn't worth a slot in my deck because we got so many of them that it wasn't really useful. Like, we got a bunch of early levels, which was cool. But once again, those abilities, not all that great, not all that impactful. Like, we didn't get to see the benefit of one of them, to be fair. But, like, yeah, they didn't jump at me. I'd probably take it with the Necromancer. But probably just for the reason of trying to hit that early 0.25 skeleton level per loop after this, because you want to hit that as early as possible. And then after that, it kind of doesn't matter. Because, yeah, increases the experience gained from killing enemies by 1 eventually just becomes silly. But also, to be entirely fair, I don't pay enough attention. I don't know how much experience every monster gives. Is that in the encyclopedia, actually? I'm curious. No. We can check if they have souls, but that's pretty much it. And I think that this is, like, having the abilities here and stuff is nice. I'd love to see a stat block, though, even if it's ranges. Like, no HP, no damage, just nothing. So it's just kind of... whoops, right? Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just not fantastic. Because I can't do a compare. Like, I'd have to open up the game, I'd have to put one down, I'd have to hover over it, I'd have to count the experience after it dies. This is information that could be in here. But yeah, as I said, overall, the biggest problem that I have is that I picked this, I like the stats, the way that this works, and I basically feel like it's hard for it to get any better than this style of deck. These gold cards, honestly, incredibly disappointing. I like, this is the only one that I think is worth its salt. Like, Arsenal, I think, is a close second, but the 0 milestone seems really silly, and the Maze of Memories legitimately don't understand what its purpose is. I suppose there is like some option or some thing where like maybe you just want to get straight to the boss. Like, I'm curious. Let's just go. What happens? Give me my maze. Okay. We just get halfway to the boss. So if I just want to trounce a boss, this is the way to do it, I guess. As I said, to me that seems a little silly. Anyway, I don't care. As I said, the gold cards, I was really hoping to be like a much larger influence on how you play the game, and I just don't see it. Like, the Ancestral Crypt giving you a resurrection with a full health bar. Like, sure, it removes all your HP bonus from all your armor, but honestly, that +3 max HP for every enemy with a soul that you've killed, like, honestly, that makes up for it pretty fast. Like, pretty fast. So it doesn't, like, yeah, your early game is shit. Like, that's true. That's why they give you the resurrection, but it's, at the same time, it's like, if you survive the early game, you just crush it. So maybe it's bad for Rogue, but then again, I don't, like, the Arsenal, everything being 20% or 15% worse, like, we did the math, that basically puts you at 105% utility. And unless you're playing something like the Necromancer, where the extra item basically gives you the opportunity at another skeleton, or like one of those stats that basically like sort of caps out, it's not great. Like, I think the best way to get an Arsenal is to get you know, the Prime Matter that drops an Arsenal card when you're in an Ancestral Crypt run. Like, that's basically the best way to get it. It happened the one time where we had that ridiculously long run, and I think that was the best place for it, because then when we actually finished picking it up, right, and when we placed it, our 5th armor slot got filled, but then everything else was worse than all of our armor for a really long time. So it's like, it was interesting, but it also wasn't like mind-blowingly good. Like, I honestly think it should just be another item slot. It should just be another equipment slot. Maybe reduces item quality by 15%, minus 1% for every loop or something. So once again, it's kind of the same thing where it punishes you a little bit early game, or just reduces item quality by 15%, minus 1%. Sorry, when I say minus 1%, I mean after the first loop it would be at 14%, not 16%. It's just still technically a, you know, but improves item quality up to 0% reduction every loop that this is placed. So it has to be down for 15. So it encourages you to put it down early. Like that, I think that would make this card immediately better, and I might actually consider taking it. It would also be nice if this card like had a way of telling you what it unlocked for each character, because that's also like important. I don't know how to improve these. Like the 0 milestone, it doesn't affect bosses, so all you're doing is basically changing the curve, right? Like if you put it near where you have a lot of massed enemies, then it's just harder on the other side of the loop. Like that's honestly probably worse for you in the long run, because like it's easy on one side of the map, it's difficult on another. Like if you were to put two opposite each other, you know, I assume that it just strictly cancels itself out if you manage to put them on exact opposite sides of the loop. So like that to me just goes like, why? Redistributing the difficulty around the loop is worse for you, because everything being an average strength is less likely to overpower you. Whereas I guess you could put the strong side where you have nothing spawned, but then do you just blow it up when you decide you want to spawn stuff on the other side of the loop? Because that stuff will end you. It will just end you. So it's weird. It's weird to me. It's just super weird. And yeah, the Maze of Memories, I'm sure that there's like a use for it if you just want to like farm a boss for Orbs of Immortality and you've got enough stats in your village to just crush stuff. But yeah, it seems a bit silly. So when I first unlocked the gold card and it was the crypt, I think that was the first one I unlocked, I was pretty excited. I was very much looking forward to the other stuff, and then they just all disappointed me down the line. This game of like furniture and stuff, interesting. Honestly, I expect it's relatively impactful. Okay, I think the cheese, yeah, I think they changed the wording on the cheese. Because it used to say +1 HP and it was confusing, so yeah, cheese is garbage. As I said, I think there's some interesting, I need to go to the encyclopedia for that stuff. Like, I think there's some interesting stuff here, but none of it's like, I honestly think the cheese being +1 max HP after killing an enemy, like, I actually think that's just legit. Like, this is just, like, I don't know, it's all the little stuff. Effects don't stack. I assume that means you only having one of them. Having more than one doesn't actually do anything for you. Listen, I think there are some interesting ones that like you could stack more than the other and like get interesting stuff out of, but like overall these, like, why just give me 0.2 HP regeneration? Like, just do it. If you already have it, it's silly. That one's kind of interesting. Like, this one's kind of good, and like this, like, but this gives you the idea of what kind of balance they want. For every whole resource gained during this expedition is like minimal. Like, it's maybe 120 HP max. Maybe. Like, you gotta, I don't know how many we got from the big long run, but this is minimal to like every other increase. But if you've got a bunch of them, like, then it basically becomes less. If already has it is always gonna annoy me. Like, I'd rather that say 0.1 and just always have it. Same with this one. Give me 0.5% of vampirism. Just give it to me. I think that would make it a lot more interesting, personally, because like, I don't know, when we've got this much room, like, I don't actually have this much room because it's limited, it's space shared between everything, but like that, yeah, we've got space for 7 more. It's just like, all this kind of adds up, but like at the same time I kind of don't care. Like, as I said, it's all like supposed to be minimalistic gains that slowly push you over the edge as you pick them up. So they look they look significantly less powerful. It's just that having a lot of them is what's good. As I said, this is one of the larger, like, because you can stack up a decent bit of stuff, I think, or at least I feel like you can stack up a decent bit of stats and extra little bonuses from that. But at the same time, I don't know, I think the Necromancer just blows all that out of the water, pretty much. His stuff is just too synergistic. Before they did this, I would make an interesting argument about how, like, I want to turn off some of these. Like, the trait deck also incredibly underwhelming. Like, I guess you could farm for these traits. I guess that's what you could do with the maze, but I still think it's dumb. Like, some of these are good, but mostly the ones that are your characters, like, I feel like this one should just not exist, and there should be a building that you can build that you can upgrade that will give you rolls. I feel like that's better. Supplies, I suppose, has its point. Blissful Ignorance, I don't love it. It's not like the worst thing ever, but I don't love it. Surveyor seems stupid. Like, it does. It, like, there is literally a, like, 1 times loop HP for each non-road tile about it is like 20 HP, and then like 40 HP. Like, it's not bad, but it's not nearly as good as some of these other ones. And honestly, I think part of it is that this doesn't have... These don't feel like they have much synergy. So there's so much more synergy in the Necromancer. I think the Warrior has some interesting synergy as well, but as I said, not enough to make it stupid powerful. It'd be interesting to just have more good options. Like, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen all of these, but I'm pretty sure that I would turn most of these off. Omicron's technique, I'd, turn on, just because honestly that's probably the only good one. Just my thoughts. So yeah, as I said, like, overall, I enjoy this game quite a bit, but I don't know if it's because the Necromancer is just a better character, or if I'm just really good at playing the Necromancer. I'm not as inclined to believe it's that I'm really good at the Necromancer. I'm inclined to believe that the Necromancer is just really good. But, like, I feel like I beat this game too early, or they're expecting me to play a lot more of it. And I feel like my hint that they want me to play more is literally just that there are 4 more dialogues. And I know that there are tiles that I haven't seen, and no way that I can get them. I presume that fills out the enemies. Or, like, I don't know what this is. I'm guessing... like... I have no idea. Actually, I do know what this is, I think. I think I know what this is. But as I said, it's one of those things where, like, I could go hunting for this stuff, and maybe I will at some point, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot for me to actually do left in this game, which is unfortunate because I feel like they're like so close. Like, because of the story, it feels like they can't do more expeditions. But yeah, I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure what the right play, or what they could do that would make me really want to play this more. And I think that's just where we stand. It's just like, I like the Necromancer. I think it's a really strong class. I enjoy its playstyle more than the other 2 playstyles. So it's not like if I really like the Rogue's playstyle, and I didn't like the Necromancer playstyle, I think I would not like this game as much. Because it's like, oh, get railroaded into stupid strong player, or, you know, player class, but I don't like it. I don't like playing it, so like that would make the game worse. So I think the fact that my enjoyment aligns with this, like my playstyle aligns with this a lot, like it just, yeah, it makes the game a lot more enjoyable than if it were in another situation. So, but even then, as I said, I'm like, I legitimately have no idea what I would put in the rest of this space. Like, do I just build more forests and farms? Like, is that what I'm supposed to do? I really don't know. I really don't know. I feel like that might be a way that they could make this more interesting. But I just don't know. But yeah, I've been ranting for, oh god damn it, 25 minutes. More than I actually played. But to once again recap what I'm trying to say here, hopefully in a more succinct manner, I enjoy playing this game. I think it is good and I think it is fun. Its skill is in decision making and not in fast reflexes, or like some other form of combat skill, and that makes it a little bit more unique than other roguelites. However, I feel that its end game is lacking, and that the decisions that you are able to make leave very little room for a large amount of growth, and that the progress that you make from time to time as you build out your village seems incredibly incremental compared to what it could be. But then again, I suppose as I say that if you were a lot more reliant on the stats you get from this, then you probably would have a lot harder of a time beating the game. And yeah, it feels like I beat the game earlier than I was supposed to, for better or worse, and that I'm not playing the game as much as the game wants me to play it. Once again, for better or worse. I would still recommend anybody who enjoys roguelites or roguelikes to play this game. I said roguelites or roguelikes. I realized that I kind of made that sound exactly the same. So yeah, I would still recommend this to anybody who has an interest in this type of genre, but the caveats being, I don't think the replayability is nearly as much as other roguelikes and roguelites. So yeah, next week we'll be back with something different. I think it's going to be Cultist Simulator, because I already recorded one game of that and it took like 4 hours. And I very much enjoyed it. So that's probably what's going to come up next week. But I can't say that for 100% sure, because I picked up a couple different games in the Steam sale. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you next time. But until then, keep your gears turning.